Okay, welcome once again, and thanks for joining this Cloud Management Technical User Group webinar. Yeah, there is a change in the name as you see in the screen. It is now called as Cloud Management. And as you must have seen the product pages of OpenText, you must be seeing two different names for the same product. Say, for example, for the SaaS-based products, we call it as OpenText Core and the actual product name. And here the product name is Cloud Management. And for the on-premise, it is OpenText Cloud Management. So that's the new change that we have introduced. The product remains same. And myself, Alex Dominic Savio, and I'm one of the product managers for this product. Cloud Management, and here with me Arun Pai, who is going to showcase the core content, which is nothing but the all-in-one um, orchestration. So let me dive it to the agenda. But before that, the demo that we are going to show is based on the community contents, and we definitely look forward to adopt those contents as supported OpenText supported content. So feel free to use this for your POC purposes or demo purposes. And if you get any additional requirements or feedback or inputs, whatever it may be, please share it with us so we can add it to our backlog. And while designing, we can actually do, all the, we can consider those inputs, and then we can actually design it accordingly. Okay, so like I mentioned, today's topic is all-in-one master orchestration, where we plan to showcase a single design that can connect to three different automation tools. One is the Terraform, Ansible, and the operation orchestration, right? So let me quickly go into the content, and I'm going to skip all these regular intro of the product. So you must have used the product to deploy compute or a software or a application or even a container, Kubernetes server, RDS or whatnot. I mean, we provide number of out-of-the-box contents in order to deploy IaaS, PaaS, a CaaS, and even application, right? And the out-of-the-box content that we offer are completely based out of operation orchestration, and that is our default orchestration tool. But we know from the fact that the customers are using their own third-party automation tools, like, for example, Terraform, Ansible. At least based on my interaction with different other CSA, HCM, and HMX customers, we have seen the tools like Terraform and Ansible, both are being used for to deploy the compute and the software. In general, again, I'm not categorically calling that Terraform is being only used for certain set of use cases. No, Terraform can be used for multiple use cases, but in general, from the customer data point, I've seen that the customers are using Terraform to deploy infrastructure, and on the other side, the customers are using Ansible to deploy the software. So generally, the Ansible playbooks, they use it to deploy, let's say, Tomcat or a Postgres kind of software, and Terraform plans, they use it to deploy any kind of resources on the public cloud. Of course, like I mentioned, it doesn't mean that it is meant only for to deploy certain set of resources on private or a public cloud. Terraform can also be used to deploy multiple resources, including compute, database, storage, and whatnot, right? And likewise, the same thing applicable for Ansible also. But here, I'm just going to go with what the majority of our customers are using. So we are taking a Terraform plan and adding it as a library, which is nothing but the component library, which can help me to deploy a Azure compute. And then we are taking a playbook, which is coming from Ansible Community Edition, and we are deploying a database software. And I think we will be deploying a Postgres here. And likewise, we are going to take a Ansible playbook where we will be deploying a Tomcat software. And top of that, we will be using operation orchestration to deploy an application. And here again, we are using our own application, which is nothing but AOS application. So if you look at the entire orchestration that goes into this design, first the Terraform gets deployed, and we collect the the IP address, the host name, and all the connection properties which are required for you to connect to the VM and then deploy this necessary software, right? So if we collect the data from the Terraform component output, and then we pass it to uh, the next component, which is Ansible. And then once it is done, then automatically the other component, which is the app server component, gets deployed. And finally, the operation orchestration component will get deployed. And again, if you look at all these are taking in input, from another component's output. So that is, the orchestration that we are, offering to our customers, where they can put any kind of third-party tool-based libraries into the service design, and they can sequence this and then make the property mapping in such a way that output of one component can be input to another component, right? So that's what we are currently doing. So let me not, hold you for make you wait for to see the demo. So let me ask Arun to take the control and then show the demo. Arun, over to you.
Sure, Alex. Thank you. So let me share my screen. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Okay. So let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen. Please proceed.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So today I'll be demonstrating the content what we have for deploying the Azure VM using Terraform, as well as deploying the software, the platforms, right? So the Tomcat, which is the application server, and the database server, which is Postgres in this example, using Ansible software, and also deploying the real application using the operation orchestration. Okay, so as Alex explained, so here is the design which we have, right? So you can see, so it's have a group which you can use for scaling, and then a server underneath, right? So this is a typical server group and a server deployment model, which most of us in HMX we use. And this is a Azure compute deployment, but this is going to use a special resource offering for Terraform. So this is not going via a direct Azure provider route. So it's going to use a Terraform in order to deploy the VM on Azure. Okay. And also you can see, and I'll get into the details. I'll show you what's happening on the Azure side also while I'm deploying. Okay. So and you can also see there are three other child components. So the software components, right? So each of these. So one is the database. So this is going to deploy a database server, which is Postgres in this example, from using Ansible, and the application server. So the Tomcat or JBoss or whatever it is we select, right? So that using Ansible and the AOS. Okay, so these are the three components. So if I go to the service portal, and then I have a offering for that. So let me go to the service portal. So and open up the offering. Yeah, so it's coming up. Just give it 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So here you can see. So this is the version of this Terraform and Ansible software, which the offering which I was talking about. So if you see the options, so let me fill in the justification. Yeah. So if you see the options, so it more or less looks like the same as the regular Azure deployment, but it's going to use Terraform, as I was explaining, right? So here you mentioned what is the workspace which you have to use for Terraform. So I'll show the Terraform console in a while. And then you pick up all the other details, like how you do a regular Azure deployment, right? So where you say, okay, so this is a provider which it has to use, and which region. So for example, I'll say West US is one of the regions which we always choose for that, and then the resource group in that particular region. And the name of the VM and the image, right? So once I fill in all the details, let me do the resource group. It's in demo. The VM name, yeah. So I'll do demo 3. The type of images. So let me do a public image. So the platform. Let me pick up a Ubuntu platform. one. Yeah, Ubuntu server. Okay. So and then let's say the size, right? So we put a standard. Yeah. So standard B1 and storage, right? So these are all the standard properties which you fill in on a regular Azure deployment, right? So I pick up all the storage type, network which it has to use, the subnet which it has to use, and the user credentials, right? So it can be a cloud user, and so let me grab the credentials real quick. Okay. Yeah, and then so the platform settings is something which I have exposed here. So you can see what is the application software which you want to deploy, right? So this is deployed using Ansible. So but for the end user, we only show what is application software you want to deploy, right? So here it can be any other application software, so for which you have a playbook. I'll show you how you can add that in a while. So let me choose Tomcat, and then databases, again a list of databases which you want, right? So let me choose Postgres, right? So because those are the playbooks which I already have in the backend, and then I submit, right? So now it's going to create a instance uh, real quick, right? Okay. So it's going to create the instance. I think there are few which are paused for some reason. Um, yeah, so the instance should come up. Yeah, so you can see a new instance is coming up. So while it is uh, deploying, right? So I can show you, it will take about like 10 minutes to deploy. So I can show you the previous deployment which I have done, right? So this one. So you can see it has done all the deployments of Terraform deployment, which is the actual VM using Terraform. And also it did a couple of playbooks to deploy the Postgres and Ansible. So let me show you how it's going to do on the Terraform. Okay, so here is my Terraform, and then you can see, let me refresh this page. You should be able to see a new workspace a few seconds ago, right? So this is the new one which is coming up, and then you can see the various variables which we have set up in the in the in the option model, right? So all those things will be passed in, right? So to deploy this particular template um, on the Azure, and it's going to complete the deployment. So let me show you the previous successful one, which was done in the morning. Yeah, so this one. So if you see, so the similar inputs were passed here, all the client ID and the image and the resource group, everything it's passed, right? So and then you can see it is completed, and then you can see the outputs what we collected. So the various information what we get on the cloud instance, right? So everything we collect and then we pass it along. So now if the deployment is complete, so you can see we go to the component. So I'll show you the deployment. So you can see these are the various parameters which we collected from Terraform, and then you can see the IP address of this, and as well you can see the various other details what we had selected, also what on the Azure it was created, right? So this is a typical VM which is created. So now on this particular thing, so we have to deploy the software using Ansible, right? So now you can see here, so we pass the various Ansible parameters. What is the playbook which it has to use for Postgres, because I just selected Postgres there in the UI. So you can see it automatically calculated the playbook which has to use and the uninstall playbook. So in case if you want to undeploy that particular component, which is the one, and the IP address, what it has. So this again picked up from your Azure public IP address, right? So this one, and then it's going to use that playbook and then going to deploy it on this particular machine, right? So now, so you will see that it would do all those deployments same way. The Tomcat, so it's going to use the Tomcat playbook in the backend, and it's going to deploy the Tomcat. So let's see what's happening to our current deployment. So you can see it's still doing the, okay, it completed the Terraform. So now you can see it's running the playbook which it is supposed to do, which is the Postgres playbook, I guess. Yeah. Let me see the component. The playbook one. Yeah, so this one, right? So it's currently doing the Postgres playbook. Okay. So once it completes, so I should be able to see I deployed the Tomcat, and then I should be really able to see the software. Okay. So let's wait. Is there any question meanwhile?
Arun, maybe you may want to show the Terraform plans, how it is getting
Okay.
executed behind the screen. So to understand, how we are passing the parameters to the Terraform plans, which process it, and
Okay.
then we get back the result. Um,
Yes. Yes. Sure, Alex. So for the Terraform plan, right? So as you see on the resource offering, so we have a specific resource offering for executing this Terraform. So this collects various parameters. So one is on the Azure side as well as on the Terraform side. So if you go to the lifecycle of that particular um, right. So you can see you have to use this particular content, which is a new one. So deploy the Terraform Azure using Terraform. So this particular version, right? So and then you can see various properties, which are all the Azure properties as well as the Terraform properties, right? So so here all the Terraform properties, a few of them are coming as a provider, right? So let me show you that provider details here. Um, Yeah, so if you go onto the Azure provider, you will be able to see the various Terraform properties which you have to set and the property and the provider level. So this is regular Azure provider, right? So and then you configure extra additional Terraform properties. Okay, so let me show that. So you can see these are the various Terraform properties which you have to pass in, right? So one is the R token, so which you get it from the Terraform when you create your workspace, right? So that R token you pass, and then you also have to pass the organization name, so which is the organization which you see here, right? So you can see the various organizations if you go here, right? So you'll be able to see the different organizations. So you have to create one organization as a prerequisite and then pass that organization along with that. And also you have to pass the repo ID, right? So the repo ID is the workspace repo ID. So you can see here, right? So using which we create a workspace. Um, and the workspace name is what we pass in the option model. And then it's going to create a new workspace whenever it has to create a new deployment. So for example, here you can see there are plenty of Azure VM workspaces, right? So that's what we would have passed when I submitted my user options, right? So, and then we prefix random 5-digit IDs to make it unique. And then in the workspace, you can see it's going to use, create all the variables what we have passed, right? So it's going to use that workspace and then fill in all the, this workspace, of course, that particular repo, right? So the Azure VM, so it's going to use, it's going to expose a specific property, and then it knows what it has to bind in that particular flow, right? So if you see this flow, so all these properties, it knows it has to map into each of those, and then it's going to fill in all those as the input property on that particular workspace, right? So, and also we have defined a set of, and if you can, of course, customize this, you can change what are your inputs, and once you change that, you will be able to also tweak the flow to make that input mapped, right? So you have to tweak the flow and change it so that a particular input is being set correctly, right? So same way, you can see the outputs also been generated, right? So this again, it's set on the workspace level, so you can also take any other output, you can expose them and then collect that as part of the overflow, right? So the overflow knows which are the output, right? So and it goes on processing it and then collects the output once the workspace is completed, and then it's going to generate those outputs for you. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add, Alex?
Yeah, definitely, Arun. Thanks for giving the details. So you see that how we are able to retrieve the output of the Terraform and then pass it to the component property of a different library, right? But I also want to highlight that we are integrating with Terraform with two modes: one with a team token, another one is with a user token. So both are available, and both of these tokens are used for different use cases, and it is compatible with the license clauses that HashiCorp recently introduced. So yeah, and we are using the Terraform Cloud, and I suppose the APIs that are available for the Terraform Cloud is same for Terraform Enterprise. Yeah. Let's continue on the other execution. I see we are able
Oh yeah.
to.
Yeah, you can see it's almost complete. So it is deployed the Postgres right now, and it's going on with the Tomcat. So I guess so. Let's see the overflow. It should be complete in a while. Yeah, so you can see. I think it's completed. Yeah, so you can see it has to deploy the Tomcat. So right now you can see for the Ansible. So we are using the CLI based Ansible content. So we also have Ansible Tower. So I think previously long back, right? So we have demonstrated the Ansible Tower content. So that was where you have the playbooks in the Ansible Tower, and then we have a content which can use the Tower APIs, and then it's going to create those deployments, and then invoke those tower to deploy on the specific target. So here in this case, we are using the CLI, right? So we have a dedicated machine where we have the Ansible CLI installed, and then this is the remote machine where this is the remote machine host where it is the CLI is installed, and then you can see it is going to use the SSH method in order to invoke the CLI command, and then it's going to say, okay, so deploy this particular host, this particular playbook from this particular repository, and then it's going to invoke that playbook, and then you will be able to see it will gather all the aspects of that particular playbook, right? So you can see, okay, it's going to add the repo, it's going to install the Tomcat on this particular IP. So now if I go to the instance management, and then let me refresh this, so it should be active by now. Yeah, so and then if I go to the components and then pick up the IP, right? So let me copy this IP, and then if I go to my browser and put in uh, the IP address. So you should see the Tomcat. It should come up. It should say it will connect to the Tomcat, and then it should say it should bring up the page. No, it's going HTTPS. Sorry, it's not enabled for HTTPS. Copy this URL. Yeah,
Might take a couple of seconds or
yeah. So
30
because the service
seconds.
has to
Yeah,
start, right? Yeah,
anywhere between 2 to 30 seconds generally in order to start the Tomcat process on this particular Ubuntu. Um, but it should be
yeah. So I can show the
available.
previous one. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
where it actually got the deployment done. Yeah. So this IP. See. It's still, I think it is still not come up. Yeah, so you can see the previous deployment was this. I think something wrong with that machine. Yeah, probably I try here. Yeah, you can see here, right? Yeah, so you can see, so here it's working. I think something wrong with that particular browser. Looks like, okay, so let me see. Let me grab the new IP here. Um, yeah, 8080, okay. Yeah, okay, so you can see the Tomcat is deployed and it's working. Same way, I think the content what we have, so we also deploy the AOS, so the third component. So you can see, I think I picked up a wrong design, but you can see I picked up a wrong offering. I meant, yeah, so you can see there is a life cycle, so which actually goes and deploys uh, the the AOS as well. So you can see we pass in the host and everything and the database details, and then it's going to create the AOS app on that particular Tomcast, and it's going to bring up the AOS as well as same way. Okay, so and I think it's not the very unique one, so it's just going to use the overflow in order to do that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's about on the demo part, Alex.
Yep. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Arun. And see, I just want to highlight that the reason why we are introducing these integrations, because see, the customers are anyway not going to recreate or reinvent the wheel. Meaning, if they have Terraform, if they have Ansible, by introducing our product, they're not going to recreate all those automation workflows as operation orchestration workflows, even though we wish for, but they generally, won't prefer that approach. Yeah, they simply don't want to, reinvent the wheel. But we at the same time want to provide the required support to embrace the existing Terraform plans and Ansible playbooks so that they can easily create these offerings without any delay. At the same time, they can use the framework, meaning the product framework. Say, for example, Arun showed the service portal request where it automatically listed the values for the end user, where I was able to select the region, I was able to select the instance size, and I was able to select the network and whatnot, right? So typically, if I'm a user going to the Azure and then I'm requesting for a service, I'll get all these properties listed for me to provide as an input. So that is the same experience we are giving, but behind the screen, it is the IT administrator who is taking Terraform as the automation workbook and then using it for to automate the deployment of a particular resource. And likewise, the Ansible, the automation team can use the playbook to deploy the software. And if at all I want to implement a guardrail, let's say I'm part of a development team and I can only deploy in a couple of regions, maybe let's say US2 or Europe or Germany, right? I mean, I have like 20 plus regions, but I can only deploy in any one of these two allowed list of regions. And then the admin can also put a guardrail that Alex cannot deploy or choose any of the instance sizes, which comes with its price tag, right? So admin can even restrict the a list of instance sizes, let's say, which are coming from the standard family, right? So only those instance sizes that are part of the standard family I can access. So I can put a governance guardrails around the offering, but behind the screen, I'm still using the Terraform and Ansible. So we are basically using the framework to ensure that the control is in place. And yeah, I mean, if you look at, if at all I use uh, the community edition, generally, you don't get it unless until you opt for an enterprise edition, which definitely comes with its own set of features which can offer the compliance. I'm talking about the third-party automation tools, but if at all the customer wants to use this community edition, they can certainly use our product as a wrapper and the front end to put all the governance guardrails. And when you attach a price tag, automatically the subscription cost will get incurred, and then it will also track the expenses against the budget. So the finance team can get the visibility into what a particular team, as I mean, to say the particular team, how much they've consumed and what is the cost incurred, and they can associate with the cost center, and then they can perform all the cross charging, right? So basically, we offer the uh, product capabilities around these automation. So it is kind of a differentiator, I would call it as, because the community edition simply cannot offer. And on the other side, yeah, the product can also sit along with the other automation tools in order to bring the libraries into the system and then help the automation team to quickly create the the offerings, because the primary goal is to accelerate the IT service delivery, and that is one of the goals for the IT operations team, and that's what we are trying to help them with by offering these integrations. So I think that's pretty much we want to show for
Yeah.
today's user group
And just want
meeting.
to
Yeah,
add the platform capabilities,
yeah,
Alexo
please
here.
go ahead.
So I think
Yeah,
previously I also have shown how we have done the Ansible, right? So just to reiterate
yeah,
that, right? So you can see how the playbooks are populated, right? So you can see, I think I have two components, right? One is the application server component, another one is the database component, right? So, and then I have to pass in the playbooks for those. And then you can see in this drop down, so I'm only listing application software and the database. So there no other complexities have been shown to the end user, right? And then in this drop down, I will be able to select JBoss and then have to pass the JBoss playbook. So how it has been done is using again, the platform capability, the offering rules, right? So in the offering, so you can see we have exposed additional um, list items where we only select the uh, the softwares which we want to expose, right? So for example, in application software, I'm exposing JBoss and Tomcat, and maybe tomorrow if I want to use another one, so I can add that, right? So in the database also same way, I'm doing Postgres and MySQL, and then maybe you can do MongoDB or anything else in future, right? So you can add that. And then in the backend, you have to do is you have to create a Ansible playbook for that. And then in the rule, what we are doing is, so you can see the rules here. So we are taking the list of the database what we have selected, and then we are filling in the operations, right? So we are taking the rules, right? So you can see here. So we are taking whatever we have, and then appending that install playbook. So we just say if I select, let's say Tomcat, right? So it's going to pick up Tomcat and then append Tomcat underscore install.yml, which is the actual playbook name, right? So same way I'm dynamically composing the uninstall playbook name. So database also same case. So there is a drop down for database and then pick up the database name from the user options and then prefix the install YAML, right? So this is dynamically generating in the properties in runtime, and then you can see these user options, right? So you select the database, you select the Ansible, so these things are all automatically calculated, and then we hide that from the user, and then we make it agent only. We only show these two to the user, these two properties, and rest of the Azure properties, right? So all those is the user, but we hide the complexity of typing in the playbook and everything and then calculate. But from the designer point of view, so all this comes as the input, the standard input, and then that gets passed on to the component and to the resource offering, and the resource offering will eventually get the overflow, right? So the overflow will eventually get what is the actual playbook it has to install. But for the end user, it's only the Tomcat what we show, and then hide all the complexity, and the offering rules are used in order to calculate the dynamic values based on what the user selection is, and then send the complex values to the backend. So that is one of the other platform capability what we are using in order to um, do the real complex deployments using Ansible, right? So and with this, right? So it is also it will also provide you not to go back again and again and then change the service design or change anything in order to add a new application software or in order to add a new database software. All you need to do is come to the offering and then select this and then add a new list item here, right? So and then create a similar, I mean, the equivalent playbooks in the backend, and then that's it, you are done. So adding a software is that easy, as in adding a database is that easy. So same way you can
yeah.
add any other applications as well. Just add that and then make all the calculations in the offering and then pass it into the backend. Yeah.
And again,
That,
this is one of the implementations that we have, performed, but there could be a lot more where, assuming the customers are using it to, using the GitHub, for example, to store the Terraform plans or Ansible playbooks, we can also pull the necessary playbooks. Let's say if they have deployed the GitHub client and then stored all this in the file system, we should be able to retrieve those and then bring it as the list items for the user to select from it. So there could be a number of ways the customers can bring the information, but what Arun showed is the simplest way. They can just simply make an entry, assuming that these the playbooks are available. Maybe it's a dump from the GitHub on this particular Ansible uh, community edition server.
Right.
Right. So let's wait for the folks to ask any questions. Arun, maybe.
Okay.
There was a question from Tony about creating the input and output properties automatically. Yeah, like I mentioned, we have a version 2, which is already published in the marketplace portal, where that content can help you to automatically sync the Terraform plans as component libraries along with the input and output properties automatically created for a particular component template. So that is already available, but again, we are still enhancing that to make it more compatible with our service portal offerings. So yeah, stay tuned for more updates on the version 2. Any other questions regarding the all-in-one master
Yes,
orchestrator?
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, Alex. Yeah, regarding the GitHub or
Mhm.
Bitbucket, it's possible to integrate it directly using operational extractions out of the box, or needed create a new workflow to retrieve information from GitHub.
Well, I mean, you have the workflows which can connect to the
Mm-hmm.
GitHub or Bitbucket, so that shouldn't be a problem. But in general, if you look at right, I won't, pass this GitHub URL for every other, workflow template. That's what Arun was highlighting. So I may even, install the GitHub client on the Ansible
Mm-hmm.
community edition and then download all the softwares, I mean, nothing but the playbooks, then I can
Yep.
read the file system and then easily populate the value. So you don't need to keep passing the GitHub. So you may even change the
Ah,
repository,
okay.
right? So
Okay.
that implementation will be a lot more easier. But of course, that may change when I integrate with Ansible, AAP, which is an automation Ansible platform. And in the upcoming version, we will also, bring, meaning when I say upcoming version, O is planning to bring the Ansible integration in a much more native way, which can hide a lot more complexities. So probably stay tuned for the next technical awareness webinar, where we'll be showing how O can execute an Ansible playbook seamlessly by just accessing the GitHub and then automatically uh, passing the inputs and then extracting the output, and then yeah, the same orchestration that can be performed within OO. So yeah, we'll be showing this in the upcoming technical awareness
Okay.
webinar.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Alex.
sure, Loka. Thanks. Good question. Any other questions? And like I mentioned, these content packs are already available in our item marketplace portal. So feel free to download. And uh, we plan to release this service design as a supported, as part of the supported capsule in the upcoming HCM, the cloud management version. Of course, regular disclaimers apply. But as per the plan, you will have this service design available. But before that, if you want to get access to the service design, you already must be having access to this Megam environment. But if you don't, please reach out to me. I can give you the access, or I can even export this design so that you can use it for your POCs or demos. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, so the video will be available. The recordings will be available as part of the community page, so you can download. And yeah, so yeah, feel free to let us know if you want to add any other topic as part of this webinar. And we have been hosting this webinar for the last 2 to 3 years, and we shared a number of technical topics So and you've been very supportive, and you've given us a lot more feedback and new ideas. So please continue with that, and I'm going to continue to host it using the Teams, so it'll be better, more convenient. So yeah, stay tuned for the upcoming technical user group webinar with a new topic. And yeah, thanks a lot for joining this webinar, and have a great rest of the day and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.